The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now, your hosts, Christy Scales, Aisha Morrison, Nicole Hutchison, and Jess Navarez.
This is legal, yes?
What's up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. We're doing things obviously a little different today, over training camp. Myself, I am in Oxnard, California, along with Christy Scales. We've got Jess Navarez and Aisha Morrison in studio. Ladies, how y'all doing?
Good. We're here. We're
Happy
back.
to be back.
Yeah, we're back.
There's no better place to be, that's
right?
for sure.
Look, we missed you guys,
Hey, we need some energy. We've got training camp, good vibes, good weather out here. We've got so many different training camp battles that will be brewing over the next couple of weeks. But we got to start with our quarterback, Dak Prescott, who spoke to the media on Thursday, and he's feeling good. One of the biggest words that he mentioned was he's feeling free, probably the freest in his mind mentally that he's ever felt throughout his career. But when you talk about a guy like that, what's y'all's thoughts with him finishing the way that he did in 2023 and coming into training camp with so much pressure on the line? How are you guys feeling about Dak so far, guys?
Christy.
Well, I would say that it was great. He talked about having it's kind of a different attitude. Now he's a girl dad, having MJ out here. But, he was asked the question about, continuing on as a Dallas Cowboy, or does he see himself in a different uniform possibly after this year? And he answered quite honestly when he said that some of the great quarterbacks in history didn't get to finish their careers with one team, but he's still the leader here. He's still the franchise quarterback. He's the same guy he's always been, and everyone's following his lead. So I see the same thing from Dak now that I've seen through his first seasons with the Cowboys.
Oh, baby, that hurt me.
The interview?
Yeah.
I mean, to your point, Christy, that's one of the first times I've heard Dak speak on something like that, as far as going to another team and that, being something he's even mentioned. So I definitely was like, not taken aback, but it definitely was like a reality check a bit for me to just be like, okay, this is the business, this is the contract conversation, and this is a possibility. But it is nice to hear that he seems the same. I don't expect anything different from Dak. He's a professional. He's going to come here, and he really loves these guys, and he's going to work for them. So coming off of an MVP runner-up season, we expect big things from him, and it looks like, looking at some of the film, he's been off to a good start in this training camp.
Yeah, for me, I think something that really stood out in this this press conference is the fact that he was asked kind of, what are your message to the fans right now who are kind of harboring those feelings post Green Bay, and he's like, look, sorry, we took it hard, but, it's time to move on. And so I know there was a lot of mixed feelings about that from what I saw on Twitter, but, look, I agree with him. Pages turned, you're in training camp, you can, as Taylor Swift says, you can forgive, you can forget, but you don't let it go, right? You move on, you keep it in mind, you learn from it. It doesn't mean it's out of sight, out of mind yet, because, again, you're still in training camp. It's still in your near future. But at the end of the day, they've moved on. It's time for everybody else to do the same, and I really like that mentality from QB1.
Yeah.
And I think it pretty much adds more fire behind, Jerry Jones and the rest of those guys that have to make those decisions in terms of his contract extension, because what you do not want to have is your quarterback have another MVP caliber season in 2024, and then he comes up a free agent and everybody wants him. So certainly something the Cowboys have to consider. But when you talk, I think that was Aisha that mentioned the fact that he's been playing so well so far, and it's only day 2 in training camp, but that connection between him and Jalen Brooks and Jalen Cropper, and all three Jalen's, Patrick, Nosey Walker had made a little joke saying Jalen cubed. No, that chemistry between those guys, that chemistry between those guys is you can really see how it's paying off, especially the work that they kind of put in the off season. Christy, I'll start with you. who out of those guys, out of the receiver room, has kind of caught your eye the most when you're talking about, CeeDee Lamb really just not here in his absence so far?
Well, I would say Jalen Tolbert. It's so early in camp. It's not really fair to, put odds on things after just 2 practices. But Tolbert is getting, at least for a couple days, the reps that CeeDee Lamb would get with the first team. And I'd say he's taken advantage of it. And, Brandon Cooks had a great day today. I think that when you're at this point of camp and you have players, for example, CeeDee's not here with a contract holdout, but also Trayvon Diggs is not working back in yet as he continues to make progress rehabbing from the knee injury last year. So Nashawn Wright is getting his reps with the first team at right cornerback. So earlier today, the Friday afternoon session, you had Nashawn Wright, Brandon Cooks, a couple of catches on him, give up 3 passes in a row, and you see someone like Nashawn who's getting an opportunity and didn't have his best day today, but then someone like Jalen Tolbert, now they're not throwing it to him 3 times in a row the way that they were kind of picking on Nashawn today in the 2-minute drill towards the end of practice. But what you can see early in camp is which of the players are getting the opportunities to run first team or second team if they're, a young guy or previously third or fourth team, and how are they taking advantage of those opportunities, and Tolbert definitely has so far.
What I really liked too, Christy, to piggyback off of Christy, is this morning Mike McCarthy was asked about Jalen Tolbert's snag of a catch yesterday, and I believe Nick Harris posted that video, and I audibly gasped when I saw it, because this is a guy that, again, year 1, just absolutely down, no secret about it, mentally just in his own head, really. Year 2 used it to climb a little bit. Now you're at year 3, which, we talked about recapping last season, was the amount of confidence that he has built, and that came directly from him prioritizing creating this relationship with Dak, which you saw with CeeDee Lamb last year, which was the verbal and nonverbal cues being a priority. And so for me, to see that snag on the sidelines from, it was pretty much a toe tap at that point, but the awareness, the route running, it's just so refined. And I wasn't surprised to see him being a shining star so early in training camp. But I like how this morning Mike talked about year 1, you're not making that throw. Year 2, you're not making that throw, maybe not even making that catch. But now he's not surprised to see the success that Jalen Tolbert is having early on.
Oh, yeah. And one thing you're looking for in camp is consistency. Guys building days upon days, and for Jalen Tolbert to come out day 1 and to look the way that he did, to your point, Jess, the work they did in Oregon this year, specifically in different places they're going, it shows because a lot of this with the QB and the wide receiver is timing. It is chemistry, connection, and the way that he adjusted to that ball to haul in that pass is also something I think he does well as well, is that he comes back to the ball. And so you will have opportunities with scramble drill. It's not surprising to me that he's making the best out of his opportunity to be, the number 1 right now. And I can't wait to see him flourish more, as this goes on, as training camp goes on.
And I just want to reiterate that, again, it is, of course, too early to really make these decisions on who's standing out the most. But I think that, I know since you guys are all sticking with Tolbert, I'm going to go number 83, Jalen Brooks. He's a guy that I feel is really coming into his own shell, showing how confident he is in his route running. I feel like this offseason, that's something that he really focused on, just being more detail-oriented in that. And so far, that chemistry between him and Dak is really going to be a lot of fun to watch over the next couple of weeks. But let's move on to this tight end room, guys. Christy, I'll obviously start with you since you're here in Oxnard. Who has really stood out to you in terms of that tight end room so far?
Peyton Hendershot sure got a lot of reps today, Nicole. And Jake Ferguson didn't get as many today. Schoonmaker and Hendershot got a lot of work with the ones, and I really kind of hate to emphasize too much ones and twos when it's this early, and they're less worried about reps from a coach's standpoint now than they are in installing the offense. So let's not read too much into it. But the other thing is with these young guys, with the John Stevens and the Brevin Spanford, there was a lot of talk in Cowboys Nation about those two young guys, and John Stevens coming back for a second year after missing the rookie season with a knee injury that happened in the preseason game at Seattle. But you know, Schoonmaker and Hendershot, they're big guys, but when you look out at the tight end and they're doing their group work, and the two young guys are bigger than them.
Yeah, Brevin Spanford.
And by the way,
huge.
nobody mentions Princeton Fant. Yeah, they're so tall. But in Princeton Fant, he's not the tallest guy, but I know that he has a fan in John Fossil, the special teams coordinator, and thinks that Princeton can do a lot to help with special teams. I am as excited about the tight end room as I am any on the team, and I can't wait to see more. And once we get into the parts of practice where there is contact and there's more contested catches than what you're seeing at this point, than a 7-on-7 or just some one-on-one drills where you can't really have that kind of contact, I can't wait to see that. I'm excited.
Yeah, that tight end room, y'all know how much I love those tight ends.
That's your
my,
favorite.
That's my favorite room. It like
This is for you,
energizes
Jess.
me to talk about the tight ends, because how can you not? When you have such a young group of guys that are talented, so you have Jake Ferguson, you know, leading this herd, if you will. But then what's so interesting about this, and Aisha, this is kind of your favorite thing to say about these kind of positions, whoever gets them earned it, right? Because you're talking about a tight end 2, tight end 3, potentially, depending on the running back situation, tight end 4 situation that you could utilize at some point. So for me, John Stevens Jr., I did check in with him yesterday after camp, shot him a message, was like, hey man, I'm not going to be there, but I just want to check in, make sure you're good. He's like, I had a really good day. Like, short, simple, to the point. He felt really good about what he did at practice yesterday, so really exciting for him. Something I wanted to keep an eye on for John Stevens Jr., because he's coming back from that ACL injury, was how quick he was still to move, because we know his shiftiness was a strength of his last season, especially in the preseason. Oh my goodness. It looks like he is in a very good spot to create that up and up sooner rather than later. Obviously, we know guys like John Stevens Jr., David Durden, and Trayvon eventually will be in a ramp-up phase, you know, so I'm not expecting like a full load from him, but from what we have seen, it is so clean, and it is such a good thing. Peyton Hendershot, I'm interested to see a little more of him during camp, only because yeah, he needs all the reps he can get. He has stiff competition in that room, especially coming back from the season he did last year with the ankle injury that just kept nagging at him. And overall, it is a room that I think you look at and you don't want to be Mike making those decisions, because it could change day to day who is leading, you know, for the tight end 2, 3, possibly 4 position.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of versatility in that room, a lot of different gentlemen that can do different things. What I'm looking for with this offense specifically is for, you know, one of their base a lot of the time last year offensively was 11 personnel. So, I mean, and that just means there's only one tight end on the field. And when you can counter that with 12 personnel where there's 2 tight ends on the field, that's going to help with your run game. That's going to help open up your play action. And to me also as well, I understand John Stevens Jr. has some receiving capability, former wide receiver. He transitioned to playing tight end, and you can see a lot of that in his movements. I echo that, Jess, is that I was worried about, you know, his movements and how fluid he looked, but he looks himself, you know, all ready to start, and that's good. Even with Brevin Spanford, we're also looking for this year better contact on contact blocks. We're looking for them to seal off these edges better and to help out these tackles when it's necessary. So although, you know, I'm loving a lot of the receiving things that these gentlemen bring to the room now, especially some of these young guys, they do need to be better at sustaining blocks in the run game and being the aggressor in that regard. So hopefully we'll see that when the pads come on in a few weeks.
Especially if you're talking about
Aisha.
potentially having 2 rookies in the O-line.
What you got?
That could be a big thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Aisha, I like what you were saying there, how the fact that, you know, the way that these guys use those tight ends and pass pro, sealing off the edges. Actually, today in practice, that's something that Peyton Hendershot struggled with. Well, he had a couple of drops, but also just really he struggled with pass pro. When you talk about a guy like that, do you feel like the pressure is on more than ever for him?
Absolutely. There's a lot of similarities in he and John Stevens Jr.'s play. Both in their physical, like their physique and the way that they're built. They both have some height. I think John Stevens is a little bit taller, but really what they bring to the game is the fact that they have receiver-esque qualities. And so for both of those guys, you can't be an all-around tight end if you can't block, if you can't sustain blocks, if you can't be dependable in that way, because you need to be a threat. You need to show to be a threat, and that's going to open up the offense. So for me, it's like, I need them to be more consistent with that moving forward, and this is a big part of the competition with the tight ends. It's a huge part of the competition with the tight ends.
Do you think it's like a make or break for them making the final 53?
I would say with Peyton Hendershot specifically, he definitely has to put it all together. There's a lot of pressure on him, Nicole. I agree. So thank you for that nugget about how he performed today.
Yeah.
No problem. Well, we are just getting started. Up next here on Girls Talk, Boys Talk, we are talking offensive line and running backs. Stick with us right after the break.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
The Dickey family always mandated that the only Polish-style sausage worthy of their restaurant must have high-quality coarse ground beef and pork, rich spices, and fresh natural casings. We still serve it to this day, and it's so popular, Dickey's sausage has been named the official sausage of the Dallas Cowboys. The perfect matchup on game day. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. No one outsmokes us. Order at dickeys.com. For groups, call 866-BARBECUE.
Dibs on the ribs. It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys.
Elevate your game this 2024 season with the official training camp headwear collection. Find it at a pro shop near you or online at shop.dallascowboys.com. A Fanatics experience and get ready for football season. Nicole? Are you ready for football season? Did you go to shop.dallascowboys.com?
Wait, hey, the Cowboys shopped this offseason in the draft.
Hit it, Jazzy.
Addressing the offensive line. Okay, let's talk about it. They addressed it, obviously, drafting Tyler. Jazz, that was a good one.
Well,
you know what? That's crazy. Give me credit, man. It's all right. I tried. But anyways, no, guys, the Cowboys addressed the offensive line, adding Tyler Guyton and Cooper Beebe, 2 rookies that head coach Mike McCarthy is really excited about to bring something, right, to this offensive line. I'll start with you, Aisha. I'll start with you, Christy. I'm sorry. What have you seen so far from Cooper Beebe and Tyler Guyton? I know they've been kind of sharing reps or actually taking first-team reps, both getting a piece of that action. But what's your thoughts on those guys so far through day 2?
Edoga got most of the first-team work today instead of Guyton, and then Brock Hoffman a lot of first-team reps today with Beebe getting second team. So, again, don't get too caught up in that right now because they're both going to get plenty of opportunities. But we won't really – we won't really know much until next week when we see some full contact, right? Because this is more like OTAs or mini camp, what we've seen so far. So until they put the big boy pads on and we get to see some contact, them going against Tyler Guyton against Micah Parsons, that's when we'll be able to make a better judgment. I will say that it was amusing today with Micah Parsons in his press conference. He spoke after practice today, and he was asked about Tyron Smith, the former Cowboy left tackle, of course, who's now with the New York Jets, and what's it like not having Tyron out there? And he says, well, it's a happy day, sad day. Happy for Micah in that he doesn't have to go against Tyron Smith every day. Sad that Tyron's not with the Cowboys. But then he was asked, well, he said that Tyron Smith was always his welcome to the NFL, right? Oh, Micah having to go against Tyron Smith. And then Micah was asked, well, now how does it feel that you're the welcome to the NFL for the rookie Tyler Guyton? Wow. And so I think that Micah relishes that opportunity to, put that challenge in front of Tyler Guyton. And again, that's something I'm really excited about next week when the pads come on to see how Guyton can handle that challenge.
No surprises that Edoga is the left tackle to start. Tyler Guyton is transitioning in. You don't want to kill his confidence. You want him to grow and learn things. But also, too, there's an element of the veteran showing the rookie how it's done. Mm-hmm. These gentlemen this is their first, training camp. So some of them are just learning how training camp feels, what it's like, where you need to be on time, all those good things. So that's another element of it. Now, with Cooper Beebe and the competition with him and Hoffman, listen, say what you want to say. Brock Hoffman is a big dog, not a little one. Like, he's going to let you know he's here, and so that is something to keep an eye on. Now, one thing I did notice from watching some of the practices yesterday that Cooper Beebe, he is new to doing center things, so he's trying to perfect that snapping the ball, placing the ball, where to put it, keeping those laces lined up the right way and things like that. I did see some improvement from him from yesterday to today, watching film and looking at some of the things he's doing, but that is something to really keep an eye on as he's doing that. He got some right guard snaps as well. Another guy that I saw working off to the side, but I do think that he could be a nice depth piece, Nathan Thomas out of Louisiana, left tackle. Again, no pads, none of that, whatever. But you're looking at some of his movements, looking at his feet and how quick they are, and his arms are kind of short, but he's able to still extend. Someone to keep an eye on as well when you're talking about this offensive line competition and some of the stuff going on as well.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, they're rooks, right? It doesn't matter where you are as far as draft selection, you're a rookie. And so that means you earn your star, you earn your stripes. And so I wasn't surprised to see Chuma getting those first team reps yesterday. And, he is a bucket of knowledge for these younger guys. He's a little more quiet and reserved, Chuma is, but he's always open to answering questions. And that was something that him and I had talked about before the team left for training camp and during OTAs was, how does it feel to continue to be the veteran presence here for these guys? And he was excited for it. So Chuma's very even-keeled, but when he was talking about it, he's like, oh, I like doing that. It perked him up a little bit. So something to say there. You said Cooper Beebe got reps at right guard?
Yes, he did. He took a couple of right guard snaps as well yesterday.
That sticks out to me because that could also tell you the versatility you could be looking at your O-line. Not right now. I'm saying, when Zach Martin decides it's time to hang things up, it could also be training him to be versatile in different positions for that. I think that's interesting, and I think him kind of training at center and right guard could also be cohesive to understand what the right guard needs from him as a center as well. So I think that could also be beneficial for him as well. Nicole, what do you think?
What you got, ladies?
Clearly, both of these guys, they're rookies, right? You got to earn your stripes on this team, especially playing for the Dallas Cowboys. But I truly believe that I'm going to start with Tyler Guyton. He's going to give Chuma Edoga a run for his money.
I agree.
And I say that because today in practice, one play in 7-on-7, I saw where one-on-one with Sam Williams. And clearly at left tackle, you're obviously on an island by yourself, right? So you got to manage more space. And the way that he manhandled Sam Williams today, I'm not going to lie, he's going to give some people some problems. So I'm really excited about what Tyler Guyton's going to bring over the next couple of weeks. But switching on to the right side, we got to talk about Terence Steele. My guy, I mentioned this yesterday, y'all. He faced a lot of criticism. We've talked about this on the show, right?
Yes, we
He's
did.
faced so much criticism about, the fact that he was battling through injury last year, having to play through it, but he was one of the most consistent guys on this offensive line. But he looks to be back in full form. How much are y'all looking forward to him just being back to the Terence Steele that we know?
Go ahead, Christy, what you got?
I love Terence Steele, for sure. And it's funny because as quiet and kind a young man as he is, on the field, he's got a little edge to him, right? A little bit of Mark Colombo. Brock Hoffman, who's competing with Cooper Beebe at center, also has that. There's a lot of edge. But I think that the thing with Terence Steele, some of the criticism that he took last year was two parts. Yes, he was coming off the injury, and what he was able to accomplish considering that fact is pretty remarkable. But also, he was the beneficiary of a huge contract. And when you have the huge contracts like he's making, the expectations go high. So instead of the young Rudy guy who beat the odds as an undrafted guy to make the team, well, he has the success, he gets the big contract, and now the expectations are up here. And that plus an injury, now that he's full strength, I think he's going to have an outstanding season, and they need him to have it. So I can't wait to see, Terence continue. He's a veteran, so I wouldn't be surprised as camp goes on that they measure some of those snaps, give some of the younger guys more practice reps. We won't see the starters in preseason action, but don't be surprised if they, back off some of the snaps, because they'll do that with the veterans as camp goes on. But I'm hopeful that he has an outstanding season like he did 2 years ago.
Terence Steele's story is one that will forever just be so inspiring, because you're talking about a guy that came off of this surgery that came in so much earlier than anybody expected him to come in and play. Last season, who do you ladies think had the most percentage of snaps taken in the offense? Just quick guesses.
That's right.
It was not
Terrence.
Dak Prescott. It was Terence Steele. He took 99.41% of snaps. Dak, if you're wondering, took 94.17%.
Did us a favor.
So Terence not only coming back from this injury and pushing his body to continually grow and be better, also working on his mentals to make sure that, mentally when you come back from an injury, and this is a conversation I had with him, is it's not as easy as it looks, because you're trying not to psych yourself out of how you got hurt again. And guess what you're doing? You're doing the exact same plays and the exact same things that created the injury to begin with. So for him, it was the physical hurdle. For him, it was the mental hurdle, while being your number one on the offense, taking the most offensive snaps. So for me, he's putting his body on the line for you, for his quarterback, and he has a dog in him, to your point, Christy. He is so gentle and kind, like you had mentioned, off the field in the locker room, but he's also very open and honest to where he's at, and I know this year the expectations are going to continue to go up, because he's a year off the injury. He has this training camp where he's not limited in reps. He's not ramping up anymore. He's full-fledged Terence Steele in training camp, so that can only benefit him going forward.
Yeah, I definitely noticed no brace on that knee coming into camp, and that matters, because it does give you a little insight on where his confidence is. But more than anything, I'm looking forward to this run game getting going and kind of turning the tide. And those two gentlemen on that right side, with Terence Steele and Zach Martin, the year before last year, they were becoming two of the best run blocking tandems in the league. It was really get out the way, and they had if you were trying to run a weak side, that was your only option with them. So I do believe that these guys, that tandem getting better and connecting again is going to make this offense better, to have a strong side to go at, and especially with there being a rookie on that left tackle spot as well now moving forward. So yeah, him being better is only going to make the run game better, and that's really where he thrives. Yes, as a pass protector, he can do it. He can do it at a high level as well, but his run blocking and him being able to feel the game and playing with that attitude he finishes, is going to make this offense better overall as well.
Speaking of this run game, Christy, I'm going to start with you. Obviously, we get Zeke, we have Rico Dowdle, a lot of depth at that running back position. What have you liked so far from Rico Dowdle? Because this is a guy who's been under Mike McCarthy's system for a year, well, for more years, but the new system, right? Him calling the plays for technically a year. He's technically the veteran of this group. Just in terms of that knowledge, what have you liked so far from him throughout the first couple of days of practice?
Well, when Rico's healthy, that was the first few years. That was the issue was the injuries with Rico Dowdle. But he can be a dynamic runner and can run with some power. But I still think there are so many question marks at the running back position. It was great to hear from Zeke today. He did speak after practice. So everyone talks about his football IQ and what a great teammate he is, but he's still a physical, powerful, strong guy, and you can still use him a lot in short yardage. But I think that Aisha mentioned something earlier that is key. When we were talking about tight ends, and she talked about, with the run game, Aisha, I think you're right about seeing more two tight end, the 12, but where it's one back and two tight ends.
Yes,
I wouldn't be shocked if we see a little bit of 21.
That
That would be a fullback. And whether it's Zeke or Rico or Malik or Snoop, whoever, back there, but having Hunter Lipke as a lead blocker. So I just think that we're going to see some different things in the run game. And for longtime football fans, the old school ones of us who are used to seeing fullbacks doing some lead blocking, who are used to seeing 12, two tight ends set. I think there are going to be times when we look at the run game this year and it's going to look for more familiar because everything old is new again at some point in the NFL.
I love that you mentioned that, Christy, because first of all, Hunter Lipke, Hive, rise up. Let's come together. Come together.
We all rise. We all rise.
Seeing him stay after practice yesterday, no surprise to me. He understands that listening to Mike McCarthy, we always listen to these pressers, right? We're listening for little things. Between minicamp, OTAs, now training camp, one thing he's going to do is mention Hunter Lipke. So I know that they have a plan in place for him. He he hadn't done a whole bunch of fullback things until last year. So I believe going into this second year, having more size, I'm sure he got stronger. I'm sure he got a little bit bigger. Knowing what his role is, I expect to see him used in several ways, to your point, Christy, this upcoming year. And I'm all for the creativity, ladies, when you talk about this run game. See other teams do it. They find success. It creates spacing. It creates mistakes from defenses. I'm really looking forward to see how they use some of these running backs. And to your point, Christy, I'm so glad you mentioned him because Hunter Lipke, I believe, is going to be a big part of this run success if it's there this year.
He's what's shaking things up in your 53.
If I can follow up on that.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
yeah,
no, go ahead,
so
Christy. You're good.
12% of snaps, 153 snaps last year, just over 12% of the total snaps on offense. I think that's the floor going into this season. I think we're going to see a lot more. I agree with you guys.
Thank you, Lovely.
Yeah, he's what's shaking things up here for Mike McCarthy because you essentially might have to decide between more running backs and adding that fullback on the roster, which, let's be honest, if he doesn't lock in that roster spot, we're all going to be shocked, right?
As a tight end.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why those tight ends in that tight end room need to work their tails off to make sure they're showing why. Look, if McCarthy decides to have 3 tight ends instead of 4 or even 2 tight ends, look, you need to be noticed. You need to be noticed quickly. And Hunter Lipke is the reason for that because that just shakes everything up that you have the luxury to add a fullback to your roster. But as far as the rest of the room, I want to go back to the conversation of Rico Dowdle based on some of the videos I saw yesterday and some of the conversations I had with Rico last year was always about how he continued to change up his rehab and, whether that be before a game or after a game, he really has prioritized taking care of his body in a new way. So I'm hoping that if anything changes as far as turning tides, it's the narrative about Rico staying healthy. I really hope he can turn the tide and continue to stay healthy because based on those videos I saw, the shiftiness is there, the speed is there, his ability to just think so quickly and react. It looked absolutely phenomenal from, again, some of the videos I saw posted on social media. But as far as the running back competition, I want to throw it back to y'all in Oxnard. Where do you see Zeke kind of fitting in this running back room so far, based on what you've seen from the reps that have been given to the backs?
Yeah, what y'all seen?
Christy, you got me, or you want me to go? I got you. I'd say we all know that Zeke isn't, 2016, 2017, 2018 Zeke, right? But I think that, like Jess was kind of mentioning about Rico, that shiftiness is still there, that power is still there. I see him and Rico both splitting those reps a little bit. They have the past couple of days. I know that Rico's gotten a little bit more of the first team reps, but I think that it'll just kind of be them two being that 1-2 punch. I don't think it's too early to kind of decide and that's something that even Mike McCarthy mentioned in the press conference. It's too early to decide who will kind of be the lead back, or if it'll really be a running back by committee right now. But I think right now it's just kind of like the first couple of days, figure that out, and then everything else will kind of work itself out.
Well, I think the other thing, I think the other thing with Zeke is you absolutely trust him in pass protection, right? So, so it's not just going to be short yardage stuff. I mean, who do you trust more than Zeke to, recognize who's coming and to pick up a blitz, or, and he's not the dynamic playmaker that he was early in his career, catching a ball and then getting a lot of yards after catch. But he's still a trusted guy, and can release and make the catch. And I think that we hear running back by committee or such and such by committee all the time. There's always a chairman of the board of the committee when it comes down to it. But this time, I would still say that Zeke and Rico are probably the lead dogs, but I'm also interested to see how much work Royce Freeman gets in the preseason, because he's a veteran that's been around several years now and has some experience, and may not be a name that's super familiar to Cowboys Nation, but I think he's a name that we need to keep listening for, because I think that we'll be hearing more about him as camp goes along.
I'm so glad that you brought up Royce, Christy, because he's a gentleman. When they signed him, I took some time to go look at some of his tapes to kind of get a feel for what he does well, and he has some separation speed. He has a little bit of burst at the second level. He can do some things in that regard. I think that his vision is something that they could take advantage of as well in the screen game. So getting those pass blocking and pass pro tapes, getting the pass pro tapes and getting that information. Ooh, y'all, listen, it's been a couple months. Let me get my life together over here. But
you started talking about screen game. You got too excited.
I did.
You love that screen game.
We know it's been.
I'm sorry.
Screen game.
What did you say, Christy? What you got?
I think we're having technical issues. I keep hearing screen. We haven't had a screen game since Preston Pearson. Give me a break. Let me check the equipment.
I'm not used to hearing that anymore.
We didn't see no screens after the Jets game in week 3?
Girl,
2.
We know. We heard you last season
Spanish
screaming.
Well, anyway, listen. I would love for them to get him involved in that. But again, Chrissy, I'm glad that you brought up Royce, because I echo the fact that I think he's a gentleman to keep your eye on moving forward when you start getting to these roster cut downs. So pray for me as I embark.
All right, ladies, we've got to take our
screen game.
Oh, I apologize. The delay is a little bad, y'all. I'm sorry. We got to take our second break, but up next we'll be talking about that QB2 battle. That's going to be a lot of fun to break down coming up in the next break. You're watching Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. We'll be right back.
The Dickey family always mandated that the only Polish-style sausage worthy of their restaurant must have high-quality coarse ground beef and pork, rich spices, and fresh natural casings. We still serve it to this day, and it's so popular, Dickey's sausage has been named the official sausage of the Dallas Cowboys. The perfect matchup on game day. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. No one outsmokes us. Order at dickeys.com. For groups, call 866-BARBECUE.
Dibs on the ribs.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby. The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that sixth ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Cowboys youth football and dance camps presented by Invisalign are back. Athletes of all skill levels, ages 6 to 16, are invited to learn from the best this summer at the Ford Center at the Start in Frisco. Campers have the chance to learn technical skills and lessons on teamwork from former NFL players and the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. 2 or 3 day camps are available now. Visit dallascowboys.com/camps to learn more and register today. Right now. Well, after you're done listening to the show. Not right now.
Did you say that was sponsored by Invisalign?
It was. Yes, it is.
Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
You know who wasn't invisible?
Oh, God.
Boo.
I tried it.
Tomato.
I'm sorry. All right, ladies. That QB2 battle is, I think right now, we obviously know Cooper Rush has not been dethroned as the backup quarterback behind Dak Prescott, right, over the last couple of years. But Trey Lance has made it clear that he's gunning for that opportunity, or he has the opportunity to dethrone him. And so far, I've seen a little bit of just nerves, the jitters. First couple of days are expected, especially for a guy who just, came in last year, was just kind of thrown into the fire and just pretty much sat to the side to learn more under Dak and Scotty. But when you talk about a guy like Trey Lance, do y'all see the potential that he really has? Is there a high ceiling for him and a possibility that he can possibly dethrone Cooper Rush at the backup quarterback position?
Yes.
I'll start with you, Christy.
Oh, sorry. I was just eager to answer that. Yes. Go ahead, Christy.
No, well, the thing is, he was getting third team work again today, and unfortunately, when you're working third team in NFL training camp, or particularly preseason games, it's about like herding cats, right? And I would not be surprised if Trey Lance gets the vast majority, and I've talked with some media friends saying, why not give him all of the reps in the actual 3 preseason games? But I wouldn't be surprised if he started those games and got some more, because I think that the staff here absolutely knows what they have in Cooper Rush. Everybody knows what they have in Cooper Rush. And yes, he does need to get work too, but Trey Lance is still a big question mark, and it's just so hard to get a feel for it, especially this early in practice. Again, I keep saying we got to wait till next week when we can finally see some contact, but let's see him go against some first team and second team defense. It's just too early to tell right now what we have with Lance.
You know what's interesting
Aisha?
Sorry, Nicole. We couldn't see you.
Sorry.
You know what's interesting about Trey Lance is I go back to, well, keep in mind, this is his first Cowboys training camp, so it's all new. Being in Oxnard, understanding how training camp works with the Cowboys, it's his first one because he came in after the preseason ended last year. But you know what's interesting about him is I remember Aisha and I were standing at practice his first day that we were able to watch him practice, and he obviously was catching up. He was learning, and he was doing the quarterback drills and he was like turning the wrong way and just looked very overwhelmed, if you will. And so comparing that Trey Lance to the one that we got to see at OTAs and even like the videos I've seen of him at training camp, just a completely different player already. And you're talking from not even a whole year, almost a year, but not quite there. So to me, when you have a guy who is being mentored by that quarterback room, when you have a Dak Prescott mentoring you, how much can you really fail at that point? When you have a Cooper Rush mentoring you, which Cooper Rush doesn't get enough credit for the amount of knowledge he has and how much he can really pour into Trey Lance, especially when it comes to what it is to be a backup in this league and how you have to kind of copycat the style that Dak is putting out there, so that way if you do fill in, the offense has to follow suit, and it's very seamless for a backup. And so I am interested because I've seen how much he's progressed in the last year, and I'm not going to count him out for possibly dethroning Cooper Rush. I think it's possible. I think it's training camp. Anything is possible. You're at that point still where possibilities are very much still alive. So I'm not going to count him out. I think it's just going to be a very interesting competition come preseason especially.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, Nicole, to answer your question, yes, I do believe that he has the opportunity to take that quarterback 2 spot as he develops, as Jess was talking about through this training camp. And one thing about Trey Lance, and Jess kind of alluded to it a little bit, is the fact that there are a lot of similarities in he and Dak's play, some of their styles, some of the things that they do. He can use his legs as well. We got to see that a little bit today also, too. You can see that he's very comfortable. He's a lot more comfortable, I'll say that, in some of these play action, run action situations, or he did a couple read option things today. Yeah, he did a couple read option things today. Had a nice ball to the outside to Racy McMath, and he had to read the defensive end. He read Tyrus Wheat, made the right decision, made the right pass, delivered the ball well. I did feel like I saw a difference between some of his play today and some of the comfort. I know, Nicole, you mentioned some of the jitters. Yes, that was very noticeable yesterday. Today, I felt like looking at him, it looked like he settled in a little bit more, was a little bit more accurate, and just escaping the pocket, having a feel to step up and to go make the pass. A couple of the throws he made today are not easy, and so that's going to continue to build his confidence as well. So Christy, I ain't going to say I disagree with some of them folks saying let him play all preseason, because y'all are right. We absolutely know that Cooper Rush can win you games. He can run this offense. He can figure it out, but we have no idea really truly what Trey Lance is right now, and that's what we want to see. This is what I want to see. Sorry.
What I want to see, only time will tell. We got, 3.5 more weeks?
Yep.
We got a long time.
California,
it's a while.
Baby. Long time.
Long time.
Time will tell, y'all. This was a lot of fun. I know we'll be back next week, I believe Tuesday. So we will be back here. That's a wrap for today's episode, though, for Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, signing off for all of our ladies. We'll see y'all next week.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!